I had let in the joy, but the grief was there too this year. And it felt like when you get too cold, like your hands get so cold that when you come in, you have to like almost warm them up, put them under hot water, but it like hurts when they're thawing out, like that painful, like, okay, I need to get warm again, but like, ouch. It's kind of felt like that. There's something in me that's been like reawakening. And it's like, whew, thank goodness it's warm again. But also it's like, oh crap, there's some pain here too.
Yo, I'm Bryce the Third.
And I'm Liz McKean.
And you are now tuned in to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast. Here we dive into all the recovery stories from around the world.
And we talk about all pathways because there's no one right way to recover.
If you've been with us for a while, you know how powerful stories are. So get ready for your community to get just a little bigger today.
We are so glad that you're here. Let's get into the show.
So now we got to act like we haven't been talking for forever.
I know.
No, I'm not about to act like that. We're just about to jump straight into it. Liz, even though we've been talking for about an hour before I press record, how are you?
I'm a little insulted because it's been like 15 minutes, but apparently it felt like an hour. So
No.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I guess Liz is good.
Yeah,
so
I can't find a better adjective. How are you?
I'm straight. Not mad at how I feel. My space heater is going. Got some creative work to dig into today. Got some work to dig into today. I got a tape. Finally, I'm about to release a body of work. It's an extended play. But I've been building up to this all throughout 2024. So excited about that. Did the photo shoot for it this past weekend. I'm excited around the fact that like I can do all of these things that I used to like have to outsource, you know? So it's been super exciting of shooting the photos, giving somebody the camera and giving them direction and setting up the photo shoot and shooting the videos and editing the videos. And so, yeah, I'm really in a creative way, but I'm also like excited to continue to get that feedback from the world around like the things that I've been kind of creating.
That's super cool. So where can we support you with that stuff and just enjoy all the fruits of your labor?
Right now, when you all hear this will be Christmas Eve today. Mm-hmm. So we won't anything fresh and new be out, but I've been dropping singles all year. So if you want to catch up on what Bryce the Third has been doing all of 2024, you can go to any streaming site and go check that out. You can Google Bryce the Third. You can go to Bandcamp and purchase a single for like 99 cents. Wherever you want to check me out at, I am there. And then get ready for that EP. The For Colder Weather EP comes out in January, and I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too. I love your winter song.
Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, nice. That's my favorite.
Yeah. But somebody's got a birthday coming up.
Who?
I don't know, man. One of us on this call that wasn't born in the summertime, because the summertime is the best time in the world to be born.
Oh, no. So what does that say about me? Born in the wintertime on a cold, blustery day in December. My birthday's on Friday the 13th this year, which already will have happened when this is dropping. So my birthday was on Friday the 13th this year.
Oh, so that's creepy and merry at the same time.
I like it. Which is, I think, I know that you're trying to dig into the birthday thing, and I'm just going to like sidestep it altogether. I feel like that's a good conversation about, well, I guess birthdays too, but holidays. It's like the holding multiple things at once. That is the hard part about holidays, birthdays, occasions for me, is the holding the joy and the grief that both are incredibly intense, for me anyways, during these big events that tend to all cluster during one part of the year.
Yeah. What's interesting about humans is that we're very dynamic, and we have the ability to stretch in a way that holds multiple things at once. And it wasn't as easy as it is now for me to like lean into that at one point in my life. Like I could only really like hold one thing, or sometimes I just had to like, I had to flip the switch and just like, okay, I'm just not on this right now. And that's just what feels safe to me. That's what feels comfortable to me. And that's what allows for me to show up and really have like compassion and grace for those around me by like hitting that switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where would you say you are this season, this year, this moment in your life around showing up for those things?
This season has been very surprising because I kind of thought, as much as we talk about all the time how recovery is just, like anything in life is ongoing. There's no like before and after. There's no, um, this happened and then all better, all done. That's just not how it works. I know there's still a part of me that thinks that's like, okay, well, I did this thing. I had this part of my life and then recovery and now life is this now and like all done, did it, check. And it's just not a linear thing like that. So I think, a lot of years in addiction, the whole intensity of the joy and the grief for me were intolerable. So I erased them using, alcohol for me was my substance of choice. And then when I stopped drinking, I still really like opted out of a lot of things that would like bring up those intense feelings. Like I have this really wonderful family who understood and supported me when I was like, I need to just not do Christmas. Like for my family celebrates Christmas. And like, I was like, I'm going to just not, it's too much. And like those big feelings that it brings up, I'm just not in a place that feels safe for me. So I'm going to just, opt out and say no to the party, say no to the decorations, etc. And that worked really well for me for a long time. And then over the past few years, it started to feel fun and warm again to like bring those back in. And last year, my first year back here in New York, I was like, around family for the first time and still did, Billy and I did our own kind of like holiday thing. But it was just like, oh my God, I think I'm back. I think I love the holidays again. I think I can feel it. I can bring it on. The joy
We
is
back,
here.
baby.
And then this year, when that like pink cloud of new Rochester, holy white Christmas Batman was back, that was happening last year. This year, when like that's kind of worn off a little bit, all of a sudden it's like I had let in the joy, but the grief was there too this year, and it felt like when you get too cold, like your hands get so cold that when you come in you have to like almost warm them up, put them under hot water, but it like hurts when they're thawing out, like that painful like, okay, I need to get warm again, but like ouch. It's kind of felt like that. There's something in me that's been like reawakening, and it's like, whew, thank goodness it's warm again, but also it's like, oh crap, there's some pain here too. And I'm no longer opting out of it, and that means I have to feel it, and that has sucked. Like that just sucks. And I also am really proud to be in it. Um, but it surprised me a little bit this year of like, when we started opening, like decorating a tree, and every ornament that came up, I'm thinking about the things that happened that year, and whether if it was like loss of people in my life that I cared about, or just like loss of like who I was then, or like a memory of what I did that Christmas, like all those kinds of things. It was just like every ornament, every decoration that I opened up was like, and it was incredibly intense feelings. Um, and I'm finding that a lot this season, where there's the joy and then there's also the grief, and it's like I'm figuring out how to hold them at the same time. Um, and it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to commend you for bearing your heart and allowing for that vulnerability to allow for yourself to experience the joy, even if it's at the cost of feeling some of those feelings that maybe we tend to hide or protect ourselves from the joy to not feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like that take a lot. That's the same with like, I want to open myself up. I want to be vulnerable. I want to love, but I don't want to be like naked. Because if I'm naked,
Mm-hmm.
like, somebody going to see me. And if they see me,
Mm-hmm.
they going to see my scars. And now I got to talk about the scars. And then in order to talk about the scars, I have to know what the scars mean. And I don't know if I'm ready for that conversation and yada, yada, yada. Kind of the same energy. It's funny you use the metaphor of like running your fingers under the hot water after you come in and your fingers are cold. But like, I was raised under the notion, and maybe somebody correct ask ChatGPT if this is true, or Google or whatever. But like, I was raised. They told me don't run your hands under hot water, run them under cold water first,
I feel like I've heard
because
that.
your fingers like won't feel the hotness, and then it like
You
it's
burn
yeah,
yourself.
it can burn you,
Mm-hmm.
and so like, you right, I know you really want it warm, but don't rush or don't push at a pace that's unnatural to the warming of your fingers, because you might actually hurt yourself in that process. So like,
Mm.
to turn it on cold first, and then let the cold water run over. And funny enough, when my fingers are like frostbit and I run cold water over them, the cold feels warm. It's like, well, this
Yeah.
is because I come from nothing. I come from like having no mittens on, and now I'm running my hands under a temperature that's supposedly cold, but to me it feels warm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, learning how to pace ourselves in a way that's like, okay, I'm ready. I'll dive into every family function. I opt into all the vacations, all the parties, invite me. I'm ready, and then, you go to the first one, and it's like, oh, what did I sign up for?
I know.
So I'm sure, like, pacing ourselves is an important part of the process as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just salute your spirit and your heart for being willing to having to being willing to have that, like, that fuller experience, the and being open to potentially some, I want to say sensate. I want to use a word that's not pain,
Mm-hmm.
because
But it is that. I think it's okay to use that word.
yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm also like a wordsmith in a way, to where, not a wordsmith for like pedantic and shallow. Like, I just want to say like wordsmithy words, but like in a way
Mm-hmm.
where I have these experiences, and it's important to me to learn how to communicate them in a way that, like, I can never transfer the experience, but how can I say
Yeah.
the thing that gets closest to like this exact experience? Because, I'm taking the time to like learn the experience in a way to convey it to where people can feel like they're creating community.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think the reason I was like, no, it's pain, is because I think there's so many different like versions of the experience, and like the common denominator is the feeling, which is pain. And it's amazing how like right now I'm in a place that like something like a beautiful memory can bring up the same pain that like a really sad memory can bring up. Both of them feel sharp, like in like, oh, like make me like kind of like curl up a little bit. um and it's like maybe the next step will be distinguishing between those different kinds of like types of pain. But it's like but the fact that I can even like say that is exciting, because like in the past it would have been like, oh, there's even a whiff of that discomfort. Like I'm out the door before we even start having the conversation. So, and that's, that's even been in recovery. And also I'm really proud of the fact that I had years and years in recovery that I was like, I need to avoid this, because like I need to have little bits of it throughout the year. And so much of it just in this part of the year was like, this is, I feel unsafe and I can't do the things I need to do to take care of myself, when
Mm.
it's too much. It's like this is just a freaking tsunami, and I'm just learning how to like paddle here. Like I need the little waves. I need the kiddie pool. And like I think I've worked up to the bigger waves this year. But I only say that because like if someone who's listening is like, okay, well that's what I'm supposed to do. That is that like the instruction? And like hell no. Like the instruction is to like look at, just be honest with what you need, and do what you need to keep yourself
Yeah.
like safe and well. And it, I mean, like I said, it surprised me this year because it's been years and years of being like, I know the things. Probably last year when we recorded this, I was like, I know the things I need to do to stay well during the holidays. And this year it was like, let me just turn that right on its head.
Yeah.
Shocking. I don't know at all.
Yeah, I mean, the instruction is that there's no instructions.
I know. I'm sorry. I wish there was.
Yeah.
God, I wish there was. If there is, if somebody out there is like, I have them, please
Yeah,
call me.
come to the show.
I
Come to the show.
know.
We'd love to talk to you about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
poke holes in your entire philosophy.
You can poke holes. I'll just take notes. Oh
Uh,
man.
So, Liz, what is your favorite part about the holiday season?
I love togetherness and I love giving gifts. I love giving them better than I love getting them.
That's actually amazing. Some people would say they love to receive gifts, but you love to give them. Like, what do you love about giving them gifts?
Oh my gosh, like the way somebody's face looks when they open something, it was just the right thing. I honestly am really bad at waiting till the holidays to even give a person the gift. Once I have it and I'm excited, I'm just like, we open this right now, like today. I'm really bad at waiting.
Well, I definitely know you're not alone in being somebody who enjoys to give gifts. And we actually have something pretty cool for people who like to give gifts.
Sure do. The Phoenix Holiday Collection is live now on our website. What kind of cool stuff do we have that you can give this year?
We got all type of stuff like that. There's a cozy varsity jacket on there, crossbody bags if you want to get funky and elevate the fanny pack style. I think there's a speaker on there too, so you can bring Phoenix music to anywhere you go.
And there's even a limited edition holiday ornament, which is ugly sweater inspired, and it just brings that fun Phoenix spirit to your holiday decor. Great gift for anybody.
You've got these ugly sweater parties. Don't put the ugly sweater on. Bring the ugly sweater and put it on their tree.
And then they can enjoy it every single year. So what's the catch?
The catch is that these items are only available for a limited time. Only.
So if you want guaranteed delivery before the holidays, you've got to order before Thursday, December 5th. How are they going to place that order, my friend?
Well, what they do is they head over to thephoenix.org/shop. That is the Phoenix, and I like to spell the Phoenix the Phoenix because it's PHOENIX.org/shop, and check out the collection and find some gifts that really resonate with you and what you feel that people will enjoy. Grab that and do it quickly so that you can send it and they can have it under their tree for Christmas.
That's right. It's the Phoenix Holiday Collection. We are going to gear up for giving and celebrate our recovery this and every year.
And with that, we're gonna give you the gift of getting back to the show.
Nah, I'm kind of on the, I don't know what end of the spectrum I'm on, but I'm just in a way to where I'm really into allowing, and I feel like I've kind of done the opposite of like the shallow end, and in some ways, like it really works. Like we were talking about technology before we press record, and it's so interesting. When I first started messing with my camera, I I would get so I still get very frustrated. Like it's so many things I want to do, and it's like this like learning how to do the technical thing is getting in the way of like what it is that I want to do and say, and is frustrating. But showing up on a daily basis in the midst of that frustration, it has gotten to a point to where like I remember it's interesting. I never thought of it like that, but I think of it like that now, where it's like I used to get frustrated setting up my studio equipment for podcasting, because it's like I would handle my camera with like care, and I would plug it in, and it's like and now it's just boop 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 boop, because like I wanted to look like this, I wanted to feel like this is like the energy that I want to come with. But it's like, whoa, where did that wisdom come from? And it's like, oh, you've been showing up and burying yourself in the unknown continuously to where now you kind of know some things. And I feel like that's been my experience. And once again, there is no rule book. There's a lot of things that I've done and a lot of ways that I've approached recovery that I don't advise other people to do. But like that was just kind of my experience. I came home from rehab and nobody's going to change their lives. So I go to my family house, there's weed smoking in the air, there's this, there's that, but I'm not going to stop loving on them and showing up in those environments. And so it was certain ways I had to learn how to show up for my personal experience and be an advocate for myself in the midst of what the world was. And like one of the best things that recovery has delivered to me is like being able to show up for life on life's terms, and sometimes life on life's terms is, and Liz, like there are a lot of ways where I wouldn't say I'm in a kiddie pool, but like I am delusional. There's a lot of stuff going on currently that I just don't know about. And it's like, if I don't know about it, then I feel a lot of things super heavy. So if I pile on the fact that like this is happening over there and this is going on over here and this is impending and this is coming and this is da 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 da, like I just get to a point where I'm paralyzed. So in knowing me, I know, okay, well, I need to put a limiter between me and my social media. I need to, make sure that I check in with these people. I call them mental wellness deposits. So how many mental wellness deposits am I making into the bank of mental wellness every week? Like, am I doing this? Am I showing up? Am I calling these people? Am I calling my sponsees, my sponsor? Like what what am I doing to contribute to what it is that I'd like for life to be versus being exposed and at the whim of like everything that life is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of that, to bring it back to the holiday, I don't know, man. Like this has been an interesting one where I think when I first started delving into like important days, it there was a lot of like what the train that was already running. You know, you can't
Mm-hmm.
turn a train around immediately. You got to slow it down first and then get it to go the other way. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of connections I had, a lot of relationships I had, a lot of ways that like familial life was set up to where it's like, okay, this is what we do. But over the years and a lot of changes, structurally, familially, if that's the word,
I think that's the word.
it's gotten to a point where I look up and it's like, oh, like the way I show up for these holidays is completely like contained within how I desire to show up for them.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I can immerse myself in such and such if I choose to. There's some things that I don't necessarily have, and so when we talk about holidays, birthday and New Year's, same energy for me.
Mm.
Because it's like you're going into something new, like it's another year. So there's the opportunity for remorse, regret, and fear about like all the things to come, as well as all the things you haven't done yet. And, you know, so I know that that's the case going in now after having a few of those where I've like been really down, and I know how to like approach that with Christmas and Thanksgiving. And birthdays, those can be the ones where it's like, where are my people at? You know, like if I don't have people here celebrating me, then I'm not important, and then this day isn't important, and it can get sticky for me. And even if like I have people showing up for me every year, I'll hold this birthday up or this Christmas up to that birthday or that Christmas. Like, well, last year it was 12 people. This year it's only 6. Am I less important? Like, I know my proclivity to like lean into those nasty emotions. And so I prepare for that going in. And what can be the result from somebody on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you don't mess with holidays. It's like, it's not that I don't mess with holidays, but it's just like, it's my relationship with passion. It's like I can play in it, but I also like know the truth of it. And the only difference between this day and yesterday, where I wasn't tripping about who showed up for me, is that we call this day Christmas.
Yeah.
You know? So
Well, it seems like I like that word relationship, because it feels like it's a relationship with you, you know, like and I think that's kind of the same thing. It's like the thread between what we're both talking about is like so much of, I think what we're talking about is like the relationship that we're building with ourselves, because you're not saying like, oh, I have this proclivity, good word, man, to, you know, feel this way around birthdays and New Year's, and like I have this proclivity to feel this, I'm just gonna keep using it, to feel this way on holidays, and like because of that, like I kind of like have this conversation with myself leading up, and, you know, just kind of arrange things so that you are prepared, you know, and you're taking care of yourself, and because you do that, you can take better care of the people around you, and like that is so different than coming at it from a perspective of just like shame, of just like, here, let me just like list all the ways that I'm doing this wrong, or, you know, I feel this way about New Year's, but the messaging that I'm getting from whatever family, social media, etc., is this, so it's wrong, like they're wrong or I'm wrong. Like it's just so, it's like if you think about the person that, whether or not this is something that exists in your life right now, but like if you think about the person that you love very much, that you, flaws and all, you know, like because of the flaws, not in spite of them, you know, that you're just like, this is the thing that you need, that the more I'm aware of it, the more I can navigate it with you, alongside of you, as opposed to being like, well, stop feeling that way because you're going to ruin Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're not doing that to yourself. You're being like, this is a thing that might happen because this is how you feel this sometimes. And like, so let's walk through this together, but you're doing that within yourself, as ideally, you know, a person that you love. And that is a lifelong journey, man. Like that's not I wasn't sober, now I am, so hooray, I've done it. You know, that's like I don't know when, I don't think that will ever, I hope it doesn't ever end, because that's a relationship that it never occurred to me to put any energy into before. And now that I'm like, damn, we're just babies at this. Talk about kiddie pool.
Yeah, yeah. I think the dope thing about it is, so imagine if like everybody that listens to this episode, or everybody in the world, if I was to be,
Everybody in the world will listen to this episode. We are the most important. Just kidding.
but yeah. So imagine if everybody put that into action and showed up for themselves in a way that's not pointing at others and telling others like, well, this is how it should be, or why are you not like looking out for me in this way because such and such and such. And I'm not saying like they stopped advocating for themselves, but they started putting more of the focus of the energy towards like advocating for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think what we end up with is like a world in which we take care of ourselves enough, one, to like have it set up for the pitfalls and the traps that like are exclusively to us and our experience, and you know, having that self-awareness and building a relationship with ourselves to like be a part of that understanding and that wisdom cultivation. But two, you begin to have experience with holding somebody, the most important somebody in your life, which is yourself. You have the experience of holding somebody in a way that it's like, oh, like this is what it feels like to be held. And so if somebody's like, I don't want to go to that party, or I don't, you know, I'm, you know, I'm gonna stay home, or can you come over here and just drop something off? You don't got to stay, but can you come drop something off? We're not like, well, what's going on? It's always about it. Like, it's always about you. You can't just get with the program. It's like, now we know that we can see things that we previously couldn't see. Like, oh, they're advocating for themselves. They're holding themselves. And maybe I can be a contribution to the support that allows them to know that like I see them in that process. And we don't get that unless we like can do it for someone, and who's a better someone to practice that on than ourselves.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if we can do it for ourselves, when we do it for ourselves, then I mean, that's just like, it really just strengthens the relationships all across the board. Because also, if you're doing that for yourself and somebody says, I'm not coming to the party, can you come here instead? You wouldn't, it wouldn't occur to you to have the reaction like, why are you making this all about you? Because you would be able to say, oh, that doesn't work for me. Here's a way I can support you. You know what I mean? Like if we all like allow, like if we're all taking care of ourselves in that way that like has compassion both in and out, then you know everybody's needs can, you can trust each other to like take care of each other. You know, I don't know. I'm picturing this world in which I could say, hey, I need this, and you could be like, I see that you need that, and I go get it. I can't be the one to give it to you, you know, and like, and then we both walk away okay
Yeah,
because neither of us hurt each other. We just took care of ourselves, and in that sense,
yeah.
we took care of each other.
Yeah, and in that energy, I also want to advocate for my introverted extroverts too, who like we really appreciate being around people, you know, and because I think the archetype could be that person who's like, I don't want to go to the party, or I'm gonna stay home, or I can you just come over here for a second, and that's like what it looks like to take care of yourself. But once again, there are no rule books, and like us people who like want to go and be around people like that, a lot of times that's how we look out for ourselves too. It's like, oh, I need to be surrounded by people I care about, you know, like what I understand you need me here, uh and I need you to understand that I need to go serve at the kitchen, or I need to go like to this meeting, or I need to go like where there's people, but within the realm of like what I need to be around right now. And
Yeah.
I need you to if you can't support it, at least like have the understanding that everybody needs what they need around times like this to make sure that they feel supported, and just know this is how I advocate for myself. And a lot of times we don't know how to say it because it's like, I just gotta go. Like I don't know what it is, but like I gotta go. You know, and it can seem to somebody else like, oh, like you're ditching us. You don't care about us. You don't want to like sit around at this function because you don't love your family. Da da da. I was like, no, like I literally like this is me taking care of myself. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And just to like layer another thing onto that, I was thinking about it when you were talking about, well, everything that you were talking about. Um, I don't know if this is how many people will have had this experience, but for me, I was going to say in early recovery, but like, I think it's still the case. Shame is big in my world, in my self. Um, and with that shame comes a sense of like I've already filled my quota of selfishness. Therefore, the things that I need to do to take care of myself, I don't deserve to do because I have, I ruined last Christmas. So this Christmas, I can't do the thing that I need because I ruined last Christmas, And I know I had that feeling a lot, and I still come up against that quite a bit. Where it's like I don't think, oh my gosh, have you ever seen the movie Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds?
I gotta watch it again. That's a good movie.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry just talking about it. I love that movie, first of all, and I love those two actors. But there's a whole okay, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I'm gonna tell you about a song that they sang that I won't give away too much. But it's Unredeemable is the song, and is the whole a big concept in the movie where, can this person be saved and, at Christmas time to be a better person, or are they unredeemable? And Will Ferrell is walking around feeling like maybe he's unredeemable. And man, every time that song comes up, my entire body, the fact that I can even watch this movie is amazing, because I can feel it even right now in my body, oh my God, am I unredeemable? And it's just such a silly, fun movie to have to give me that feeling, but it so gives me that feeling. And he talks about how will there ever be enough? Can I ever give enough to make up for the person I was before? And I feel that so damn deeply. And at this time of year that comes up really, really big. So I'm only saying that out loud, not because I have an answer to it, because I'm still navigating and working it out for myself, but because that makes it harder to take care of myself. Feeling like I need to make up for who I was before. But I have found, and doesn't matter how many people say this to me, it really has to come from within me. But I have found that people want me to take care of myself, because then they feel safer, and they know that I'm doing the things that I need to. But it's complicated.
Yeah, like you said, that because they feel safe. I mean, even if it's selfishly so, I'd like for you to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Even if I might feel away in a moment, but I need you. I'd rather you take care of yourself than be here and not be taking care of yourself. That's still not. That's and
anybody
who would say no, you be here and you just be miserable. It's fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I just don't need that energy in my life for real.
Although for some people you don't have, that's your family, and that could be really that's another level of complexity. We probably can't hit all the levels of complexity today, but I did want to mention that because that comes up a lot for me, and usually when we say things on this podcast, we hear that people can relate. So. If that's you, I'm with you.
Well, you and Will Ferrell both are redeemable, very redeemable.
Myself and my friend Will, we thank you.
And it's an interesting notion too, because there's some things. There's some people who see me in a way that I know I'm not, and I can feel like they see me in that way. And there's to try to fix them and how they see me is trying to fix my face in a broken mirror. I know, and I can't take credit for that. Will Smith said that. I gotta give credit where it's due.
Really lift up the wills today.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
See, like what you did there. Episode title.
But it's trying to, and it's a tricky thing too, because I do. There's a level of reliance upon others' perception that I've used to catapult me into a new being. When I first came into recovery and I first started kicking it around people who I normally would have not mixed with, I see them and I see how they see me. And I borrowed their perception. We talked about this on this podcast 1,000 times. I borrowed their perception and leaned into who it is that I seen them as seeing me as being, and then I became that, right? Same with the relationships that I my very, very my home team, my intimate relationships. If I feel you don't see me, there's a level where it can get outrageous. Okay, you don't see me as a multimillionaire, the king of the universe. Well, you just need to get up out of here. But no, there's a level of okay, you have to at least believe in me like this to for me to really kick it with you like that.
Within
you know?
reason.
Yeah. The same way I believe in you, like, you know, and I'm that type. Like, I will gas you. If you my friend, I'm gassing you every time we turn around. I'm gonna gas you. And so, like, that perception of you, like, I can borrow. But it's also the same thing. Like, if there's a dependence on that perception, then that's where it gets sticky. Because also, not everything is in one vessel. So that person who, like, said, like, oh, that was, you're amazing, like, you're great, this or that. Like, that same person on a different day could be like, okay, you've talked about this a million times. Like, I'm on my own stuff, and, like, I don't want to hear that right now. And if I'm like, what, you don't believe in it? Like, if it becomes a thing where I depend on it, then it gets, like, sticky for me.
Yeah.
And so the redeemability, at least for me, has been really, like, really in the action, man. Like, in the action, it's like, I know what I did then. And so if I got this bucket here in front of me now, so what can I put in that bucket today? You know, I know I used to steal, and I can't, like, go back and unsteal. And there's people that I stole from that probably will never forgive the me that I was when I stole that, and would never, and probably see me and see that same me. But here goes this bucket here today. How can I contribute? How can I give? How can I be of service? And what's happened, and which the requirement for is, like, time and effort, is that, like, okay, I put a lot in this bucket, and there's a lot more in this bucket, at least in my focus, that, like, I focus on more than, you know, the other bucket. And then in the moment, like, I'm always continually willing to show up in opposition of how it is that I used to show up. And, like, that's the absolute best I can do. Other than that, like, it's complete suffering because I'm ruminating on a perceived wrong. Like, it's, and not to say that I don't do it. I might do it in a couple of days. You know, it still shows up, but, like, there's a practice of showing up and focusing, one, on what I'm grateful for, and two, like, what can I do to contribute to, like, the other way today, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's the difference between, like, letting somebody else's, you know, the cheerleading, as you said about me before. Like, it's like there's one version of, like, somebody's cheerleading you, and you can be like, oh, that's what I needed. I needed the cheerleading, and I don't have to do anything to, like, that is who I am. I am the good person because you see me as a good person. And then if that's what you're depending on, somebody's going to come up and be like, you're a jerk. You're the same guy that used to do that other stuff. And you're going to be like, oh, yep, accepted. Yes, that is who I am. Or, you know, you can have that cheerleading be inspiration for the kind of person that you want to be. You get to decide, though, maybe that is the person you want to be. And then also it just goes back to that relationship with yourself. I had this happen. Do we have time for me to just tell this in an actual story?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't really give ourselves guardrails with times today, so there's nobody here to stop us.
if you like the longer episodes, then lucky you, because we're going into that territory. If you like the shorter ones, then you're not even here anymore.
I know, so. We miss you. We wish you well. I actually, so I've talked about before how I moved back here to my, you know, hometown after years and years, and things were, like, affecting me more than I expected. Seems to be a theme. Me not seeing things coming. Where it was like, ooh, I thought this was healed in me, you know, like recovery in general. Like, I talk about the days of drinking and being in recovery all the time. I mean, on this microphone today, but, like, I got here and it was like, oh, but I haven't really talked about it in the place that it happened, you know, or, like, with some of the people that it happened with. And that was just harder than I expected. So I ran into somebody, gosh, it was not long after I'd moved here, who, you know, they were like, oh, hey. And I was like, hey, kind of, you know, one of those, like, oh, we know each other, but neither of us are quite sure how. And then they remembered first, and I'd worked with them during a very tough time of my drinking. So I'm sure they have memories of me as that person. And I could, like, see that in their eyes, you know, whether that was me projecting or not. Like, that was, as soon as I remembered who, you know, how we knew each other, I was like, oh no. And then I felt like that person. It was just, like, a really hard, sticky feeling. It took a few days to recover from. That person also goes to the gym that I go to. So now I see them there sometimes. And I've really worked hard this year to, like, figure that out, to, like, figure out, like, okay, where are those kind of blind spots where I've not actually healed as much as I thought? And how can I work with that? I have a wonderful therapist, thank God. And now when I see that person, I just, like, say hi, and I'm just, like, have this like sense of kind of gratitude that I am able to, that feeling isn't washing over me like it was. And I think it's because I have that relationship with me, you know, like the person that they knew me as much as like that will always be part of who I was and am and part of my story. Like I still, like there's something that makes me know who I am now that doesn't make up for really have anything to do with who I was then, but allows me to still be that person in the moment that I can have a conversation with this person, you know, and not have to like, I don't know, not be anything but who I am now because I know her, me being her. And yeah, it's just interesting. And it's not even a matter of like time healing things or anything. It's really just I don't even know, working on it, thinking about it a lot.
And that's the process, that's the practice, that's recovery, you know, and it looks different to different people, but I can relate to it 100%. And I think this last little part of this episode, I think is trying to hit a nail, trying to paint a picture of an experience that like you just don't have unless like you continue to show up.
Yeah.
You know, you continue to show up for yourself. You continue to show up in receptivity. You continue to show up in vulnerability. You continue to show up in willingness. And this is, you know, things go from black and white to like magenta and turquoise blue, you know, and a lot of times we get on this podcast when we have free reign like this, and it's just me and Liz kind of kicking game to explore those different colors because of the different experiences we've had. But ultimately, like it's just showing up. It's showing up, having the experience, having the willingness, listen to shows like this, you know, picking up tools along the way and asking those questions that allow for you to have a healthy relationship with yourself and your surrounding environment.
Yeah. 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 And if the best that you do during this holiday season is freaking survive it, like that's, I mean, you did it.
Yeah.
The fact that you're even listening to this podcast right now, like, way to go, man.
If you got this far, like, you one of them ones, man. Like you one of them ones. Like we really, like, cause this is the thing too.
Best
like,
friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I need people like you as well in my life. Like I need people like you to listen to this that continue to reinforce that like this is work that people are doing. Because this is the work that changes the world. When we show up for ourselves in these ways, get to know ourselves in these ways, we up our capacity for showing up for people in general. And then you can share that. But if right now the conversation is not how I share that, but how do I cultivate that in my life, then let that be the focus and know that you're important, the things that you're feeling, the experiences that you're having are explicitly valid this holiday season, and it being Christmas Eve, and that you listening to this, like we can very much relate. And we're just glad you're here.
Yeah, we sure are. We need you.
Yeah.
And we love you.
We sure do. And we hope that you have a great holiday, whatever the holiday is that you celebrate, or we hope that you have a great Tuesday and Wednesday, if that's what matters. Festivus for the rest of it, whatever you want to call it. Like we just hope that you have a good one. And just know that, you know, your community is right here beside you, hanging in there and doing the best we can in our lives too.
Yep. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time.
And if you're not watching on YouTube, just imagine my finger guns. Catch you next time. And it's not violent. It's like a squirt gun. This is a squirt gun with like liquid joy. Okay, it's getting worse as I'm saying it. So we love you. Catch you later. Enjoy your holiday. Bye.